Preparing to live stream the meeting.
Started out right.
I mean, you have to, right? I like the little Jawa back there this time. That's good. Do you have Thrawn?
He's not here with us right now.
Oh, but he's our
I'll use one of the Mandalorians.
Okay, that's fine. We are streaming. We are live. Hello,
Hi, everybody.
That is watching us currently.
It's gonna be hard to hear me, isn't it?
Oh, I gotta do the YouTube mute thing because that's gonna be.
Oh, right.
Okay. We can't. I don't want to. I hear myself now. I don't want to hear myself 20 seconds down the road.
Right.
That's just a mess. So episode 1.0 of the Full 42. How are you? How was your weekend? What's going on?
Oh, pretty good. Working hard, trying to get Asking for Troubles off to print. Should be off either today or tomorrow, actually. So tonight or tomorrow. Now, since it's 8 o'clock here in Central Time.
Nice.
So yeah, the Full 42. I don't know if you saw our post in our Facebook group, but we failed to even explain what the title of our podcast here is, or video cast, whatever you call it. So I tried to do it justice. What you think?
I think it went well. It was good.
Yeah. So if you know the number 42, it's because you're a fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a wonderful book, okay movie. Read the book, don't watch the movie. But 42 basically was the answer to Life, the Universe, and everything. And since we're going to cover everything fun and geeky and all that, we decided to call it the Full 42. So that's the reason for that.
Makes total sense.
So, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was quick. I was looking forward to today, so it made the weekend go by a little faster.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, it always makes things go slower for me if I'm looking forward to something, right?
I guess.
I think that's generally how time works, and as far as perception goes.
Yeah, not for me. It went faster.
That must be nice. Kickstarters must get to your house quick.
No, they take forever. I think I'm still waiting on some from like 3 years ago.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean normal Kickstarters that usually get there within the time frame, right?
Time moves a little faster up here in Central New York.
So we're supposed to do guesses now. You said you had a good guess for me. We're going to try to do this every episode. By the way, we're also going to try to do this weekly. I don't think we said that last time. We're going to try to do this weekly, Mondays, 8 Central. What is it, Eastern?
1 hour ahead.
Whatever that math is.
9 o'clock.
I'm an artist, not a mathematician. I'm just kidding. And every episode we're going to try to make a guess about each other. So what was your guess about me?
My guess is that your favorite Batman was played by Christian Bale.
Well, first of all, that's a safe guess. I mean,
Sure.
Most people, I don't know about most people. Most people my age or younger would probably say that, I would bet. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to pull Adam West out, right? Okay, so if you want to go off of, you got me thinking now. If you want to go off of best Batman movie, then yes, he was the Batman in the best Batman movie. I thought he did all right. You know, the voice thing still throws me.
Same.
The whole gruff voice, I'm Batman kind of thing is just still made fun of. And the fact that he did it to people who knew who he was behind the mask was ridiculous. I thought he did all right. He was an okay Bruce Wayne and a good Batman. I'll give him that.
Okay.
Honestly, the best Batman is the animated Batmans.
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah. So, but if you want to go live action, yeah, I'd agree with that. Good
So
guess.
live action, your favorite Batman was played by Christian Bale.
Yeah. And yours?
I mean, it's Keaton.
He did a surprisingly good job. Before that movie, I thought he was Mr. Mom. That's how I saw him. Yeah.
Sure. Mr. Mom, Multiplicity. There were plenty of things that he's great at, but man, did he nail Bruce Wayne. I mean, that was just, and all this talk about him being old man Bruce in a Batman Beyond live action makes all the sense. Oh,
Yeah.
how great would that be?
Yep. Well, we saw him do a great job in the Spider-Man movie as Vulture, right?
Sure. Yep.
I mean, he can pull off still acting even now. So probably even better. I thought he did really good in that movie.
Yeah. Still got it.
So yeah.
Well,
yeah,
good enough that they're signing him for Beetlejuice too.
I've been hearing that rumor for like years. They're always talking about that.
Sure.
But he was actually rattling in my head as the other choice for Christian Bale. So.
Yeah, I think it was too much about Bale was good. I loved the series, but Bale just didn't. I don't know if just Keaton ruined it for me. Like future Batmans are just not like they got to live up to Keaton for me.
The trick with Batman is you're either a good Batman or you're a good Bruce Wayne, and Keaton did both very well. When he was playing Bruce Wayne, he had a little bit of smirk with him, and you could joke around a little bit. I liked that, but you still saw the seriousness,
Yep.
And then whenever he went to Batman, it was just like a transformation. Yep. It was great, and you believed it, which I did not think he was going to be able to pull that off. But when you got to like George Clooney, as ridiculous as that was, he was a better Wayne than ever Batman, right?
Sure.
You could see him kind of be a Bruce Wayne. And then what's his name? Val Kilmer, better Batman than Bruce Wayne.
Sure.
He was all serious no matter what was going on. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
that's how I evaluate. Do what?
I went with the safe bet and I got it.
Yeah. So my guess for you is if you could have any superpower. Yeah. I love these questions. I always try to pick 3, but I'm just going to pick one for you. I'm going to go with, you would pick super strength.
No.
Like Superman level strength. No?
No, I don't think, I mean, that's a good one.
It's hard when it's limited to just one power.
Yeah.
And it has to be a power. You can't be like, I get Superman's powers. That's a bunch of powers, right?
That's a bunch of powers. That's like all the powers. It's all the powers in one. And
all the powers you need, right?
Yeah, seriously.
All right. So what's your power?
Yeah, I don't know. Super strength would really come in. I mean, if I'm saving the planet, right? That would be pretty good. That would be useful. But on a day-to-day, I don't think that would be the power I would pick.
Yeah, that depends on what you're doing with the power, right?
Yeah.
If you're just like, my life's not going to change, what can I use now? Immune to disease is nice.
Immune to disease is pretty good. I like the concept of being invisible, but I think I would pick flight.
Yeah.
There's so many times I don't want to drive anywhere, and just flying would make it so much easier.
Okay, but teleportation's better than flight, right?
Is that a superpower? Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, like Nightcrawler. Yeah.
Although, if you get to kind of tweak it, I would want teleportation. Like, what was that movie that it was people that could just like teleport to anywhere that they either remembered or had a picture of, or
Jumper.
Yeah, Jumper.
With Hayden Christensen was in that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anakin teleporting everywhere. So if you could do that, that's what I would pick as my number one, just to be able to teleport to like Paris or something immediately. Be great.
Yeah, but what if like you remember Paris a certain way and you want to teleport to like 22X Street and they built something and now you're teleporting into the building? Like,
well, that's why first of all, they're just turn on the TV and like, go to YouTube and find someone live and Paris or something,
Mm.
and you know, in today's time you can do stuff like that. But you can also just pick some place that's always going to be there, like the, you know, the Eiffel Tower or something.
Sure, sure.
You know, if Notre Dame was on fire again or something, right? So
Yeah, I'm sure you figure that one out pretty
But
quickly.
you're right. If you just pick an alleyway, there might be a truck parked there. I don't know what the rule is. Would I just end up in a wall? Would I get shunted off somewhere?
Well, it was like the episode of Shield where they were coming into their time period, right? He got caught in the wall.
Right.
So, you know, if you're flying, then you could see all that stuff. You're not.
But if you get hit by a goose or something,
sure, you probably shouldn't have the power of flight if you're hitting geese.
I don't know. And how fast are you flying? That's the other question. Because if you fly 20 miles per hour, okay, that's fine. But if you're flying any faster than that, hitting something midair could really be bad.
Yeah, it'd probably ruin your weekend.
I mean, you're like Superman. Superman's a bullet flying through the air. Doesn't matter what he hits.
Yeah, that's true. So would you need the power of flight and Superman skin? Or
like
structure?
Vulnerability?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Well, if I had I always said that Flash needs the invulnerability, right? Because he's going so fast, he's going to hit stuff constantly, trip or something like that. So, yeah, I would think I would want that at least if I was going really fast. Otherwise, you're going 20 miles per hour everywhere. I'd rather be in traffic with air conditioning.
And I don't know, traffic's a pain.
I live in Texas. It gets like 118 here in the summer. I'm not flying out there. Get all
cool air running through your hair, like.
I'm aerodynamic.
That is true. That is true.
Now, I've always said that if I could have 3 powers, I know the perfect combination, and it would be teleportation, immortality, and regeneration.
Immortality is like wishing for more wishes, though. Come on.
No. First of all, I would never get immortality without teleportation, because the worst thing that can happen is somebody gets you and buries you alive.
Okay.
Or you get thrown into space or something, right? Something happens.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
good. If I have teleportation, you can't do anything to me, especially if I'm invulnerable and I'm immortal and I teleport. There's 0 things you can do to me. I could just sleep in the middle of the street. What are you going to do? Put me in jail? I wake up in jail, I just teleport away.
Right. Wouldn't you? So in the case of Superman, wouldn't you lose your teleportation power around kryptonite, so you wouldn't be able to teleport?
I don't have kryptonite in this 3 wish thing. But yeah,
fair.
I have no weaknesses in my perfect 3 wish combination.
Okay. So. Yeah, immortality is that's. I don't know.
I mean, you know, if that's too much, you could always say the regeneration gives you long life, like Wolverine kind of thing. Like eventually you'll get old, but you get, 150, 200 years out of it or something.
Sure. Like the curse of the vampire, though, right? Like you watch everyone around you die. Like that would not be.
Right. Right. But I mean, not to get morbid or anything, that's going to happen anyway. It's just you're going to be not far behind them.
Sure.
If you're immortal, maybe you keep making friends, you don't escape that really, unless you're the first to go.
I get it.
All right. Well, I do not guess correctly with you. I had nothing really to base it off of though. So.
Yeah, super strength could be useful. I don't know if I was at like a buffet, would I pick that one? Probably not.
At a buffet of powers?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Could happen.
That's what we should have called the episode, Buffet of Powers.
Well, we could future that one.
We could. Speaking of superpowers, into the setup, that was a component. We're going to try to have segments here, but we're horrible at setting those up.
We'll get there. It's still new. We'll get there.
into the setup portion of this, I came up with a topic of DC versus Marvel. You asked movies, comics, television, what are we talking about? I said yes. I just think sometimes one wins over the other depending on what kind of medium, right? Now, I think you should get to speak first on this since you have a foot in the door, at least, or a dog in a race, if that's the correct term. Just because you designed the Batman game, right?
Sure.
So I can guess where you're leaning already, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're wrong. Yeah, so funny thing, I actually was never really a Batman fan. Yeah.
You mean you just weren't exposed to Batman, or you didn't like Batman?
I don't know. I had an argument with someone years ago about how Batman was or was not a superhero, and their argument was just garbage. So it was always like those people are, I don't know, they were always in that group, they were always just these diehard Batman fans, and it was just like, yeah, no. I was a Superman fan, but I definitely leaned heavy Marvel for a while.
Okay, I have to ask you about that because I saw you mention that at one point. That is Batman a superhero? Are you asking the question, is he a superhero as in does he have superpowers, therefore, like, are you saying to be a superhero you have to have superpowers?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the question is asking
That's
what
what the
makes
question
a
is at.
superhero.
Right.
Right.
I mean, if you want to get technical, DC and Marvel co-own the term superhero. So you could say anything that they make is a superhero. But I wouldn't go that way with it. Yeah, I kind of agree that he's not technically a superhero. He's a hero.
I would be in that camp.
Yeah, I mean, the word super. Now, well, I guess if super means superpowers, then there you go. It could just mean excellence, right? Like firemen are heroes, but this is a hero that's unusual. Like this is a hero who is beyond the typical hero.
Right.
If they mean it that way, he could be a superhero.
Right. So the those letters, right? Super. What does it mean to be super? Right. Doesn't have to be in your name like Superman, but Wolverine a superhero? Is Magneto a superhero? Is Thor a superhero? Like what makes him a superhero?
Is Wolverine a superhero? He has superpowers. Is he a hero? He's done heroic things.
Yeah, it depends on point of view, right? You could say Thanos is a hero in his story.
I wouldn't say he's a hero. Maybe to him, he's a hero.
Yeah. Sure. From his point of view, he's the hero of the story.
Well, that's why he's such a good villain. Right. I've always said that I'm really tired of these, like, I'm evil for evil's sake villains or revenge villains.
Right.
They're so boring. I want a villain that thinks he's the hero. Right. You know.
And that's perfect with Thanos. Thanos does that, right? Yeah. Although you could argue that why doesn't if he could just make more food for the people rather than cut the population in half? Like you have the power to do that, you might as well.
Yeah, that was always the other argument there, right? But yeah, I don't know why. What you could argue. I know that from the comics, it really wasn't about that. It was about him courting death.
Right.
So, they had to fudge it a little bit. He is called the Mad Titan for a reason. Went insane, basically. But,
yeah, okay, was cool. Everything that he was doing for death, that was neat.
Yeah. So, am I right in guessing then? Still guessing that you lean more towards the Marvel movies than DC movies?
Movies, yes. TV, no.
Okay, but there's not a lot of Marvel to really balance that off of, is there?
Well, there's the four, right? There's Luke and Iron Fist and the Punisher and Daredevil.
Okay, that's fair.
So when you talk about What's the other?
Jessica Jones.
Oh, right. Oh, and well, the Defenders too, which was interesting. But yeah,
Which is all of them combined. I don't
Right.
know if that counts, but we could say it counts. Oh man, I totally forgot about them. I might have to argue with you then.
ooh, okay.
Oh, I love those. Did you not like those series? Especially
They were great. The only one I didn't like was Iron Fist. I think Iron Fist was
It was the weakest. I didn't dislike it, but it was weak.
oh, great storyline, but I was not a fan of the actor. I didn't really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't attached to him at all.
I didn't mind any of the actors or anything like that. I just thought I don't know, it just didn't quite carry as much weight as the rest of it. I don't know what it was, but hard to put my finger on it. Or fist.
Interesting. I loved him. I loved everyone. I loved the Punisher. I'm glad that they're keeping John in for the next one. That's great. I love that they're using Charlie Cox for the next Spider-Man in whatever capacity they're using him, whether he's a lawyer or actual superhero. Like, I love that. They were really good. Daredevil was great. Punisher was great. Luke Cage was great. I don't know.
First
I think
season of Luke Cage was great. Second season was okay.
Yeah.
It kind of lost its touch in the second one. But okay, so you're saying they're great. What are you saying that is better in DC?
I think the story arcs in the DC ones were better. I like that Arrow was dark. I like that Flash was a little more chippy. I love the crossovers.
Oh, wow. So I thought you were going to go cartoon because honestly, the cartoon, the animated series of DC are just amazing.
Okay.
What's the Titans one? Or Young Justice.
Yep.
And then actually the Titans. I know you haven't seen Titans, right? It's on HBO Max, so you need to get that. But that's not animated. But
right.
You can't be arguing that Flash and Arrow and what are the other ones? Supergirl. Which one was it?
Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, Legends. Yeah, you can't be arguing that those are better than the Marvel ones on Netflix. Really? Wow. Okay, Flash has some of the worst writing in all of TV history.
Where? How?
What do you mean how? In
like
the
season
fact that,
5?
I'll tell you what. I stopped watching Flash the season that he could freeze the entire time, freeze time for the entire episode because a bomb was about to go off, and run while frozen time. Because after that, he wins. Every single episode, the minute someone pulls up a freeze gun, anything, freeze time.
Yeah.
And you're done. You can't write your way out of that. I mean, they did a fairly good job of writing their way out of time travel. The minute you got time travel, I was like, are they done? Because all he has to do is go back 5 seconds every time he gets punched and he's not punched. Like, every time he walks in and goes, oh no, you have somebody, go back a day and go, hey, don't be here, you're going to get kidnapped. You could just constantly do that. But then they did do a big character thing to go, okay, I won't go back in time anymore because it causes all these splits. So that was fine. I actually appreciated that. What I don't appreciate is them going, he has the ability to run in there so fast that time is frozen and he can look around and do whatever he wants, disarm everybody, put handcuffs on him. But if you happen to have a freeze gun, he's not going to do any of that. By the way, bullets go faster than that freeze gun. And he gets hit by the freeze gun every time.
Yeah.
The freeze gun was the dumbest thing. You were looking at a man with a gun. It doesn't matter if it shoots ice or bullets. Do the same thing to him you did to the bank robbers earlier this episode. Tie him up. It's just, the situations were ridiculous. And by the way, they are the dumbest group of scientists ever. They're like all geniuses, and they all fall for every single trap.
Yeah.
Even when they say, I think it's a trap. Doesn't matter, they're gonna fall for it. I couldn't watch after that. What was that, season 4 or 5? Whenever they did the bomb?
I think it was 4.
It was pretty far. I had to give up. And the only reason why I watched it all the time because I really liked the characters. The characters were fun.
Yeah.
So that's me beating up on the thing you love.
I'll take it because I do agree. Because there were definitely times, I think I had mentioned this about the rinse repeat. Like with all the big bads that are coming in, it seemed like the same thing over and over again. I don't know. I like those characters. I mean, it might, well, now you have me guessing myself, right? Because Daredevil was great. The Punisher was great. Like, the actors who played the parts were really, really good.
I mean, I totally give it to you. The entire reason I watched 4 or 5 seasons, whatever that was because of the characters. They were just fun.
Yep.
Fun characters, fun lines,
Yep.
fun banter between them. That part of the writing is fine. It's the writing of superheroes that was bad.
Mm.
Like they kept writing themselves into bags and then just pretended like they weren't in those bags anymore. Like, oh, don't worry about that power. You mean the power to totally freeze time and do whatever you want with super speed during that time? Which is weird. How was he going super speed while he was also freezing everything?
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
So, and then Arrow I had to stop watching too for a different reason. One, I got tired of him blaming himself for everybody else's mistakes. Like
Okay.
that's such a conceited or like arrogant thing to go like, I'm to blame for your mistakes constantly. Like, who are you? You're just some other person. They can make mistakes. And anyway, but my biggest problem was he would kill 40 people to get to the bad guy who's trying to commit genocide and then be like, I'm too good to kill you. And then put him in prison to escape later. Like, why does he get a conscience by the time I watched him put arrows into the hearts of 40 people to get to this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And never checking once to see if any of them are okay. And those are sharp arrows. You see every single tip. They show you those tips.
Yes. Yes, they do. Yeah.
You can't tell me he hasn't hit a few arteries on the way.
No, he's definitely hit his share of arteries. That's
no tears for the henchman. But suddenly, whenever he gets the guy down, and the guy's like, I'm gonna blow up everything. No, can't kill that guy. And I lasted even longer in there. I went all the way to the point where his team got mad at him for spying on them, even though one of them was doing something to get spied on. I can't remember the Mad Dog guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was going behind their back and telling on them to the prosecutors or something like that.
Right.
And they were like, somebody in our team's talking. So he bugged his 3 team members. And then one of them was, and then they were like, how dare you bug us? It's like, one of you was talking. And then all 3, including the one that was talking, left to join groups altogether. Like the other 2 aren't mad that he was betraying them as well. It's ridiculous.
But that happens in other movies too, right? You bug the whole team gets mad at you because you're trying to find the spy in the group.
Yeah, I hate that too. If I'm in a group and my boss goes, hey, we sent a spy around because somebody is like betraying the company, I'd be like, first of all, I'd be like, okay, well, that's in my contract. You can look at my text on the whatever, you're with the Arrow. This dude isn't totally trusting. You should expect him to be checking you out from time to time. But if somebody actually is doing it, the guy right next to me, I'm not going to be like, yeah, that's stupid that he looked into you and you turned out to be guilty. Let's go be friends. Like, I don't even like, what are you doing?
Okay.
It totally made no sense to me, and I couldn't continue.
Deeply impacted you.
It did. To be fair, the DC stuff got to seasons 5, 6, and 7, who knows what would happen with the Marvel stuff? They've only got as far as season 3 on Daredevil, right?
Right.
So, although I didn't see it get near that kind of ridiculousness or anything, but I don't know. If you're pumping them up that fast and that many, maybe the writing gets a little more loose. I always felt like the writers were more TV writers, not comic writers. Like they just didn't know how to write for people who had powers and were going through these experiences.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what behind the curtain looked like for Netflix in those series, right? With Disney Plus coming out, and if they ended early because of that, or if they were just like done with whatever. But I think the Flash, of all of them, I think the Flash was, I don't know, they were different, right? Arrow was definitely more dark, and the Flash was definitely more chippy. But like the one-liner between him and Cisco, and like they were just, I don't know. I from episode 1 of the Flash, I loved it, and I don't know. What you're saying makes sense, right? I think the Marvel ones, the actors were great. The stories were great. I don't know. Now you got me guessing or second guessing myself. I don't
Well,
like
I
it.
mean, you can, it's subjective. So
Sure.
whatever makes you happy. Like I said, I went through 4, 5, 6 seasons of each of those episodes, and I stayed for a reason. I agree; those characters are fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun moments, a lot of great, back and forth between the people. It's just the actual story writing that eventually got to where, you know.
Yeah, but until you had posted about that freezing time and uh, being able to go back every time you want or stop whatever's going on, like I never looked at it from that perspective. And when you had wrote that about like this was trash because X, Y, and Z, it's like, well, yeah, like Chris is right about that. That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? Did you ever see the show Heroes?
No,
Okay.
that
So,
was with the guy who played Spock before he played Spock.
yeah,
Yeah,
Quentin, Zachary Quinto.
that's it.
Yeah. So the first season was excellent because they wrote it all out. It felt like they made it to be one season show, right? So everything made sense, everything worked well. And then after that, they said, "Oh, what are we going to do?" And they had written themselves into a bag, basically, in the first season, where this guy had like time travel abilities and all this stuff. And so they had to do the thing where, oh, I'm having an emotional issue, so now I can't use my power thing that they do all the time, to try to get them to pull back from, basically the temporary kryptonite to do whatever they need to do to fix that issue that they caused.
Right.
And that's just what it felt like in Flash. Like eventually you write yourself into a position where you're like, oh no, now we can't do the bank robbery scene because he could just go back in time and arrest these guys before they even get to the bank. So I think it takes a special kind of foresight to write these kind of stories. And the Netflix shows really feel like that. And to be honest, the people in the Netflix shows don't have extraordinary powers to ride around, right?
Right.
Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, none of them have like these earth-shattering abilities like Superman or Flash or any of them have. So, and that might be part of the reason why I like Marvel more than DC. DC has too many could end the earth if I feel like it people.
Too many superheroes?
Not too many superheroes, just too many people. Like, I mean, Wolverine can't end the earth. That's why I like Wolverine. Spider-Man can't end the earth. Sure, they have a few. I mean, they actually have Earth Eaters, Galactica, but I mean, but they have to have, they're far and few between. They're not their main people.
Right.
I don't know.
We did forget about one major show that I think might tip the scales now that I think about it. S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't think so. I love S.H.I.E.L.D.
I absolutely adore everything about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're saying tipping for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said like tip back towards your direction towards DC. Yeah, Shield was great.
Yeah, thinking about what they did with Shield and the characters and the writing and the arcs and the interwoven storyline between the movies and the like
Well,
the
especially
cinematic
that
universe.
first and second season. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I wish they had stuck closer to the movies though. Like you kind of felt whenever Disney bought Marvel, that's when they kind of separated it really harshly, right? Because I think that happened around the second season, something like that.
yeah. I thought it got tighter. I thought they started dropping references to like the Tesseract and Thor and Loki more.
See,
Once,
the main one that I remember them talking about was when Winter Soldier came out
Mhm.
and all of Shield came tumbling down. Of course, they had to connect that, right?
Yep.
But after that, did they really connect after that? When did they bring up the Tesseract or Shield or Thor or
I thought the last two seasons got a little heavier with the
did they?
connections.
I want to go back and rewatch it because they had some long gaps in between seasons.
Yeah.
I really like the feel that they did where for a while it's kind of like the spy stuff with some alien things kind of in there, and then they got to the Inhumans was like the weakest season for me. But
Mm.
after that, they did time travel, did space. I was like, wow, they're just everywhere with it, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like the way they ended it was good. I mean, they could come back at any point, but that last season was really
Yeah, I thought it was a great ending. I'm always weary about endings because you could really wreck a show with an ending, right?
yeah, especially in the Marvel universe because they have so much going on. I don't know how they keep their storyboard must be. I mean,
Well, that's the thing is I never got the feeling that like they would reference stuff, but I don't think Disney really had much talk or control with agents, right? I think that was on Fox, wasn't it?
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think they just kind of let them continue for a little while. I could be wrong,
Yeah, I don't know.
but yeah, I mean, you need to get HBO Max so that you can watch Harley Quinn,
Yep.
uh, which is a way better show than it has any right to be. Like when you watch the first couple episodes, you're like, yeah, this is funny and cute. I'll keep watching. By the time you're done, you're like, oh my God, that was amazing.
Is that good?
I thought so.
Okay.
I was upset that, like, I think they ended it in 2 seasons. Like, I don't know if they're making anymore. Maybe they do, but it felt like they have a good ending to it. So,
I do. I haven't started down the DC animated yet. I have the Red Sun and the Life and Death of, or the Death and Return of Superman, and
I can't bring myself to. I can't bring myself to watch that. That the death of Superman was the death of my comic collecting.
same.
That ended it for me, and it was a long time coming because of Image Comics and some of the stuff they were doing. But I still have like I have comic books on my wall in my living room, and one of those is the Death of Superman unopened black thing and stuff, you know.
Yep.
And I have one that's open as well because I wanted to read it. But I got every single one of those, and it was just this huge thing: Death of Superman. Superman's going to die, and then didn't even wait a month or so after the actual death, and you're like, "Ooh, now there's 4 new ones," and you're like, "Okay, I'm fine with it being someone different but connected and stuff." And then they just brought it back again.
Well, you knew that was coming.
No, at the time that they were doing it, they were really pitching it that like this is it, like that's because to sell it. Maybe they knew the whole time.
Of course they did.
Basically. Of course they did. But, as a kid, or I guess, I don't know, maybe I was 19 or something like I can't remember exactly what year that was. But um, at the time when they did that, I was just like, all of this stuff, this epic thing, and it all got undone.
Mm-hmm. Perfect marketing, right? You bought every comic leading up to the death. You bought every comic when his powers went into the 4 different people. So now you're talking about 4 different lines, right?
Yeah.
super smart from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, and they did the death thing. They did the whole fight through different comics. So I had to get Justice League, and then I had to jump over to just all these other things.
Yep.
To get it all right, and it just took me like I was stressed out. I have to go get this one, then this one. Make sure that my comic store is going to reserve this for me, and I got them all. I was super happy. Big old thick stack of comics, even the ones where he might be back, because of the 4 people. And then when they brought him back, I was just like, what was all that for?
Yep.
It was so frustrating that I was just like, I'm done.
That was it, huh? That's what did it for you.
Yeah. And before that, I was a little Image Comics, their marketing stuff made me kind of get to that point anyway. Because Image Comics was doing the thing where they come out with, they kept throwing titles out there trying to get something to stick, right? And they'd start with issue 0, and I'd be like, okay, Wildcat 0, I got it. Cool. I will have this, and someday, 30 years later, I can be like, I have this. And then, like, I go to look on the Wizard magazine, how much is this? And it's still the same amount a year later. And I'm like, why? And I look down, it's because they made platinum and all black and white covers and this, and they just made all these specialty covers and only made 500 of them. And I'm like, so what I have is just a rag as far as value goes. So that took the collector out of me. And then Superman took the story part of it out of me. So after that, if I don't care about the story and I don't care about collecting, I'm out.
So TV wise,
man, I'm very negative this episode.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it. TV wise, your team Marvel. Comic wise, would you say Marvel was better comics? Because it seems like DC and now Image, which I wasn't even thinking of. Although Image probably did the coolest thing I remember recently was the Spawn. I forgot what number it was, but the nod to Chadwick Boseman with Spawn on the cover. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really neat.
I've
always had a soft spot for Spawn. I like Spawn. I like Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
Image.
Yeah, I collected like the first 20 Spawns.
Yeah.
I have 4 issues of Spawn #1.
Nice. I think I still do too.
Yeah. It's up there with my Death of Superman.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Spawn. I love the whole idea of Spawn. I didn't keep up with it after that though. I think McFarlane stopped doing the main art for it. Like he started doing just the covers or just the inking, and all that, and that started changing up. And once that started happening, I kind of moved on to other stuff. But I love the idea of limited amount of power, right? Like you could do anything you want, but you get closer to death as you do it. It's a brilliant idea. But between comics, DC and Marvel, it's not exactly fair because honestly, the only comics I ever got from DC were Superman and Batman. And I only ever got graphic novels of Batman because I wanted the full story to read, I collected Marvel. So I'd probably say Marvel just because, you got X-Men, and X-Men were my favorite out of it. So
X-Men did the same thing though, right? You got the 4 different covers with the fold-out cover and the shimmer covers. Well, not shimmer. They were like hologram covers.
Yeah, but Image started it. Marvel did copy it. Yeah, it started becoming. I don't know if DC did do it. Did they do it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't recall one, but I'm sure they did. I mean, I even know Valiant did it with what was it called? Xeno Man or something like that. Xeno Warrior or something. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now, but they had different covers for their Zeros and stuff. So, I'm not saying Image is the only one that did it. It's just they did it every single anything that it was like, oh, this is a special issue. There's going to be 500 different covers of it. And so, yeah. But, I would stick to Marvel, but that might just be from a lack of, reading DC comics.
Right. But what else Marvel did you get then? Just X-Men?
No, I got X-Men. Funny enough, I got like a bunch of Sleepwalker. Do you even know Sleepwalker? Okay, so like when I was a kid collecting comics, I started in 1990, and I know that because I first started getting into it because of those Marvel cards. You remember the yeah, I still have them. I was looking at it.
I have all mine too.
Even holograms. All 5 holograms that come with every season. Yep. And I've got the X-Men series 1 and stuff like that. Yeah. So I started with the cards. I was like, who are these people on these cards? And then I went and got the comics, right? Again, that's why I would say Marvel, because of all that stuff. Only read a little bit of Avengers, like just here and there. And then, I would latch on to pieces like the Infinity Wars or Spider-Man. I had a few Spider-Man. Frustratingly enough, I was like, oh, I'll get it. I kind of just did it willy-nilly, like, oh, I like this cover, so I'll grab this. And I have like the ones that are right before Carnage and right after Carnage, but not the ones that are about Carnage where he comes in and they're worth like all this money and stuff.
Sure.
But I didn't care about it at that time. I was pretty young, so I just cared about the stories at that point. So Spider-Man, McFarlane Spider-Man was really good.
Yep.
The whole beginning with Lizard. X-Men, a lot of X-Men. Trying to think what else I have.
With Cable and.
Actually, yeah, I do have Deadpool's first experience in New Mutants '98.
New Mutants are great.
Yeah, New Mutants was great. Although I hated Lee Field's art.
Really?
I still do. Can't stand it. It's just all bad. It'd be different if it was a style. I don't think he could draw differently.
Huh.
And it's just they all have the same face. Like maybe he's a lot better. I don't know who he is now. But if you look at his earlier stuff, Cable's face is the same as Wolverine's face or whoever's face he's doing. It's got that puffy like lines. Just go look at the faces. They look exactly the same, except he took the eye out on this guy.
Okay.
The hands, there's no wrists. They just go from like hand to arm kind of thing. I don't know. Wow. I've just never liked it. Some of the perspectives on his early stuff is really bad. So I know.
Deep in this one. This episode is just.
I know. You got to find something I love so I can not seem so negative.
So I think
you hate
no. Well, that'll be a whole nother episode. My hatred towards stuff. This is your hatred towards stuff episode. Mine is next time. Comics for me were definitely Marvel. I love the Superman leading up to the death, even some Detective Comics, but the Marvel ones, the X-Men, the new Fantastic Four, the What If series. The What If series were great.
See, that's one I never got into until I read about them later, but I didn't even know they existed when I was a kid. I never saw them.
They're so good. Yeah. And then the series is coming out.
I love the idea. Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait till the series comes out. What a great idea to be able to break your universe and not have to change anything, right? Yeah. And when they do it through the Watcher, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's that theory that Stan Lee is a Watcher.
I mean, they kind of do it in Guardians, right? Mm-hmm. Guardians too. I mean, I don't know if it's just a theory anymore. I think they were saying that this is what's really happening, which I loved.
That's great. If they came out and said that that's a thing, then that's even better.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Sure.
Which means a Watcher was in Mallrats.
Technically, yes.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Kevin Smith would totally agree. Yes, he was a Watcher.
I'm sure he would. We'll get him on next week. We'll see what he thinks.
Sure.
Yeah.
You'll call him, right?
Yeah. I got him on my cell. I'll give him a call right after the episode.
Uh, but yeah, well, it sounds like we kind of read the same comics and kind of got it. Were you into comics before those cards came out, or did the cards get you into the comics too?
That's like which came first, right? The chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think the DC cards were first before the Marvel ones. I think I got into those gray outlined with the holograms, getting those awful white packs of cards. I think I got into those before the Marvel ones, then found out like the X-Men ones were kind of first. But I think comic wise, it was Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know DC had cards at that time. I never saw them. Before that, I actually collected Garbage Pail Kids.
Hmm.
Bad flashback, and I still have those. But once I got tired of those, I started looking for something else, and the artwork of the cards or whatever grabbed me.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, they had a Wolverine. Did you ever get the Wolverine cards? The series? They're like very rough. They might have been done by McFarlane, actually, now that I think about it. There was a whole set of Wolverine trading cards that were really cool.
Oh, really? No, I didn't get those. I got the Jim Lee X-Men ones.
Yep, those are good.
Those are excellent. I got the McFarlane Spider-Man ones, which were basically just stolen cells from the comics.
Yep.
Pretty
They had a
cheap.
Ghost Rider series with the glow in the dark. Did you see them?
I remember those, but I don't have them. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have those. We'll have a show and tell one episode. We'll just show our cards. I'm sure everyone would love to see those.
Right. We might need to just do that off the episode. I thought
We'll
that would
hold
be
up cards every
interesting.
now and then. Yeah. That's funny.
All
All right. Well,
so far, Marvel's winning show. Well, I don't know if Marvel's winning shows. For me, Marvel wins shows. You're kind of on the fence.
yeah.
Like you said, might be tipped over because of agents. Wait, WandaVision is a new show.
It's true, and that is really getting me. I really like it. I like everything about it.
I want to have this conversation a year from now after a couple more of these shows have come out, and we'll see which. And after you've watched some of the DC shows on HBO Max, because Titans is actually a really good show.
I gotta watch that now. Damn it! All right.
They're making a season 3 too. So
if you start thinking ahead with WandaVision and Winter Falcon and the What If series, I think it's going to be hands down Marvel. It has to be.
I mean, it is for me already, but I can't imagine next year. I mean, we don't know what DC's got planned anyway with shows, but I can't imagine next year that you won't be on this side of the fence. So if Marvel's winning that, and Marvel has comics between us, movies,
Marvel.
It's got to be Marvel, right? Yeah. Who's going to argue that DC has better? Yeah. I don't even think we need to. I mean, we can hate on some of the more recent ones. You know what? I'll turn positive. I'll go positive this time for DC because it doesn't get enough positivity, right? Wonder Woman 1 was amazing.
Agreed.
Loved it. And Ben Affleck was a better Batman than I thought he would be. I'd say that. However, one of the worst superhero movies of all time was Batman versus Superman. Had to go negative again.
Yeah, but it's not though, right? Like it's a good movie.
What?
There were moments where like the Martha thing and the fact that Superman and Batman were forced to fight each other because Luthor, who really wasn't Luthor, like kidnapped his mom, like that whole. I wasn't a fan, and the
Martha thing was the only good part of that. Well, other than Wonder Woman, she was the best part of the whole thing. The only good thing about that was, oh yeah, the mother's names. That's kind of cool to make a little connection. Like, oh, he's not just some evil alien thing. Like, I have a connection. I appreciated that. Everything else was ridiculous. First of all, Batman doesn't kill people.
Right.
And then...
Well, originally he did.
What?
Originally he did.
in the first comic they ever made of him, they had guns, and that didn't work. And then like issue number 2, he had no guns, and he had like Robin like a couple issues later or something. Like he turned not killing real quick.
Yeah.
But I mean, Batman does not go, I'm going to go assassinate this person, let alone, and especially just because he might go bad or something. It was just a ridiculous beginning, the whole premise, everything. There were some cool moments. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's like Star Wars Episode 9. There were a lot of cool moments, but the writing was horrible. I'm just cutting and slashing things as I run through here, aren't
Oh yeah, you are. I love it.
I? But I mean, you know, yeah, I won't. I won't watch that movie again. That was just the worst Lex Luthor ever.
Oh, hands down the worst. That wasn't even. But it wasn't really him, right? Wasn't it his kid or something?
No, it was Lex
That's
Luthor.
supposed to
They
be
said
Lex.
it was Lex Luthor. Yeah.
Nope.
Worst.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and I can't even say that it was the actor's problem. He's been good in other stuff. It was just the way he was written, words, everything. Well, I don't know. Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor was pretty bad.
It's still better than Batman vs Superman.
At least it was Lex Luthor.
True.
He wasn't even Lex Luthor. He was just some
No.
crazy guy.
Yeah, there was nothing about that said Lex. Like it was not. That was bad.
Right.
There was definitely more bad than good in Batman vs Superman.
Are you excited about Zack Snyder's? I'll watch it. That's how I feel. I mean, no matter how bad I think DC comic movies and stuff go, I'll watch them all just because I like comic book movies and stuff. You know.
Sure.
Contrary to what this episode seems.
Yeah.
It feels like, right?
Just rename it. Chris hates everything.
I know. Jeez. Don't mean to be.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how I feel about it being a 4-hour experience. I think that might be a little too long, but
I don't know. I mean, there seems to be like people who just love him. So that's fine, I guess. I don't really have an opinion. I thought the other one was okay. Like I didn't hate it.
it was okay. It was better than Batman vs Superman, but it was not great.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't being kidding when I said I think Batman versus Superman is the worst superhero movie of all time. So anything's going to beat that for me.
Got to be something that's worse.
I don't know. I mean, okay, taking out anything outlandish like, like we don't count the Wookiee Christmas movies for Star Wars when we talk about worst, right? Nobody says the Ewok movie whenever you ask because those are Highlander 2, so then those didn't really happen kind of thing.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's some movie, there's maybe a TV movie, Wonder Woman, that was real bad or something, or the Batman and Robin. Actually, the Batman and Robin movie where he has the shark repellent and stuff was great. I don't know. I'm open to hearing suggestions, but I can't think of any.
Okay.
I
got nothing. I
mean, it's all subjective. Neither one of us is right? It's just
sure.
experience. But yeah, I was surprised that they were doing this for Justice League, just because I don't know. I thought it was okay. I guess it didn't do as well as they thought it would, and so
I don't think any of them have, right?
I think
maybe
Wonder Woman did way better.
Exception of Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah. Right. And that's the problem I believe happened with Wonder Woman 2 is, this is funny.
I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's cool. I'm not going to spoil anything. No spoilers. Okay. No throwing. But this is something that's interesting though, and why I think it's bad. And I'm not talking about the show, but the writers changed. And you know who wrote, or at least wrote a good chunk of it or something, main writer listed on IMDb? It's the same writer for the series of Flash.
For
Maybe
the
that's
new
what,
Wonder Woman.
yeah.
Hmm.
And apparently he's like, whoever, I can't remember his name, but he's like in control of all stories in DC or something. So what it feels like to me, I don't know anything, I don't have inside information. What it feels like is they went, oh, Wonder Woman, sure, yeah, make that. That should be good. And then it got all great, and he said, oh, well, I'm going to step in and write something. And they should have just kept the same writer. Why
Agreed.
don't you keep the same? You want the same magic? Keep the same writer.
Hmm.
So,
Do you
I don't
think
know.
that's where the sequel Star Wars movies fell apart?
Oh, I mean, it fell apart because they didn't have a single, you know, continuous. This is going to happen, then this and this. I think JJ did. I think
Right.
he set it up, and then I can never remember his name. Ryan
Johnson.
Johnson came in and was like, "Nope, none of that." And then, of course, JJ came back and said, "Yes, I'm undo all you," and that fight between them ruined those three. Not ruin. I'll watch them. I enjoy them. Trying to be positive, but they're not my favorite. But I still enjoy them. I've rewatched them several times, Disney Plus and stuff. So I mean, I must enjoy them at some level, right? I don't watch stuff I don't like. So
Sure. I hope you don't.
no.
But I think you said last episode too, like it doesn't matter if it's Star Wars, I want it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You can make another Ewok movie. I'll go see it.
Yep.
I mean, it might be horrible, but I'll still see it. I might
Sure.
not watch it again. It's that bad. I mean,
Right.
don't make them horrible, obviously. And I appreciate Disney's effort that they're putting into a lot of these. I think they started off without having a plan. And luckily, they're not doing that with Marvel. Clearly, there's a plan with Marvel, and there has been a plan for a long time.
Yeah.
So I kind of hope that they bring in the reins on Star Wars with a plan, with all these series and stuff that they're doing, Mandalorian and Captain Andor and all that. So
There was that article that came out that the character that played Han Solo in the Solo movie, he's coming back.
oh, really? To do
Yeah,
another Solo?
I don't know about another Solo, but he's playing Solo in what seems to be the Lando series, the Book of Boba. So there's going to be that story.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
Hey, I like that guy. I thought he did a great job.
Loved him.
Yeah.
I
I
still
love
think,
Solo.
I don't know why people shit on Solo, but I thought Solo was a great movie.
I think Solo got a bad deal because there were people who were hating Disney at the time and trying to ruin the Star Wars that they were doing. Because I remember there was I don't know what they call themselves, but the people who hate that there are strong women in movies, just
Right.
stupid people. But they were like trying to mess it up by destroying it from within. Like I read this whole thing about how they started these things to create people thinking that it's going to be bad before it even happened. I remember seeing stuff like that, like, oh, this is going to be bad and stuff. How do you know? You don't. And it just tanked before it even got to the box office. I think it was attacked by people who thought Disney had an agenda and were against that agenda.
Yeah. I still, when I need to put something on in the background, I'll turn on Netflix and put on Solo. That's like my go-to. For some reason, I just want to, it's really dark in the beginning, but like dark, actually dark, not like evil dark.
Right. Well, it kind of is too. He's on Corellia. It's
Sure.
I mean, it's a great heist movie.
Yeah.
It's a train heist. How do you not love that?
And you get to see where Han and Chewie meet each other.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
So, and Lando.
And Lando.
He did such a good job. Does he go by Childish Gambino if he's doing movies or just the music?
I think just the music.
Okay, well, either way, he did such a good job. I was
Excellent.
so happy.
Yep.
I was so happy with that.
Yeah. It's going to be a good series if he's doing Lando.
Oh, I just assumed he was. Oh,
Yeah.
I hope he is.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so good. I kind of want Okay, I'll look into that later, see if it's on there. Um, but wow, we moved from comics to Star Wars, so
It's going to
happens.
be a thing. It's
It's a
just going to be a
natural
thing.
thing. Man, we I tore things up for an hour here. Destroyed everything I could. Just doomsday my way through everything. We got to talk about something positive. We can't end on it like that.
Yeah, let's move into. We can either talk about what you've been playing or what's on your table, or stuff that's piqued our interest since last time we talked.
Something positive.
If you want, I'll go negative.
You go. I've been way too negative this episode.
You want me to go
Oh,
negative?
negative? I know what you're going to talk about. Why negative?
You have no. I haven't.
Oh,
I don't even
okay.
think-
Okay. Go ahead.
There's a moment. It's Star Wars related.
Oh, okay.
There's a moment after Han dies where the Falcon lands and Chewie and Leia pass each other with no acknowledgement whatsoever.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know.
what a missed. It
And
drives me
Leia
nuts.
hugs a stranger person she just met. Right. Yeah.
Yep. Not even like a nothing. I'll take 10 Jar Jars over that moment.
10 Jar Jars.
That's how much it aggravates me.
I know. When I saw it in theater, I was just like I was expecting the moment, right?
Yep.
I saw a thing where JJ said he regrets that.
Oh,
So
50
or
years.
not J. Yeah, JJ. Yeah, he did the.
They do hug later. There's an acknowledgement later.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like it was over that.
Mm-mm.
No, I agree. That was a huge issue, a huge problem to me.
Yeah.
I did like Chewie's response whenever Han gets killed.
Yeah.
It felt emotional,
Yeah.
and he shoots Kylo. But he doesn't kill him, kind of thing. But then, the reason why I like it is because I saw a comic that somebody did, or a meme, or whatever you call it, on the internet soon after, where it showed like him kill his father, right? And then it showed Chewie hold it up, and then it cut to Chewie holding him as a baby, like Kylo Ben, and like raising him as a little kid with him, Uncle Chewie, and all that. And then it showed like the crosshairs go from his head and move down to his leg. And I was like, oh man, when you put that into it, that moment feels so much more like he has a life debt with Han and all that stuff. He's got to react. He fires, but he just in an instant kind of makes sure he doesn't kill the boy he helped like raise. I love that.
Was he around while Ben was?
Why wouldn't he be?
I don't know, because Leia says so much about Han being just disappearing and being missing.
Yeah, but I mean, like he showed up every now and then, and I think that only happened whenever Ben went away. I always got the feeling that they were around early on. They were together early on and stuff. But maybe I was wrong. I mean, I don't think that was defined anywhere. But I mean, he still had to come home at some point, see the kid. Chewie would be with him. Chewie would pick up the kid.
Yeah.
There had to be some moments.
It does change that a lot. I never thought of that.
It like pulls at some heartstrings when you think about that kind of thing, that it's sad that it took a internet meme comic strip to point that out instead of the movie, but
Sure.
So much is happening at that point. You can only focus on certain things, but
yeah. Wow, that really, I want to look that up. That's good.
So, but you mentioned something about. I thought you were going to talk about something you've played recently. Could you mention something about getting stuff to your table?
Yeah, well, I figured I'd throw something negative out there from my end.
I appreciate it. So I'm not the only one. Yeah.
Just in case.
Next episode's going to be all positive.
All positive. Nothing negative. It'll be called the no negative episode.
No, that's negative in itself. double negative episode.
A double negative episode. That sits well. Yeah, I like that. So on my table, we just started the Rise of Fenris campaign for Scythe. First scenario. So not much has happened.
No spoilers because I haven't played it yet, but I have it.
Right, no spoilers.
Okay, cool.
Not the first scenario really doesn't have any spoilers anyway. You kind of just play a regular game of it, with like a little added feature that comes into play. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's 8 episodes, I think, long. So
you've only played one
of the scenario.
Of
the
okay.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere. Oh yeah, it's right here actually.
There it is.
Yeah, I got it just at the time where my group stopped wanting to play Scythe, and I can get them to we had a thing, game group thing where when it's your birthday, you get to name all the games that get played. At your table. Sometimes we'd have enough to where there's more tables, and of course they could play something else. But I don't get to say what that table plays, even though I'm not there. So I would always pick Scythe because my group, it just like they like it, but it's that kind of game that I have to reteach every single time because they don't play it enough. And it's a long teach, and everybody knows it's a long teach. Easy game to grasp, but when you really start getting into teaching, so it just doesn't get played a lot. So by the time I got that, I'm like, do I really want to play one episode a year? I got to get somebody. Too bad you don't live nearby. I got to get somebody to like want to play those things. So I've had it. I got it like when it came out. So it's been sitting on my shelf, waiting to be played that whole time.
Right. Yeah, it's a collector's edition, one of the limited edition, like with the number on the cover. But my copy has never been played. We play my friend Bobby's copy, and then our other friend who's now joined us, Keith, he's now bought into it, like down the rabbit hole, buying the insert, buying the expansion cards, buying the resources. Nice. Like we definitely got hooked with it.
Yeah, I have everything for it. Have you played it? Have you played it on Steam?
Have not.
Yeah, I play it on Steam all the time because I can't find any players, especially because of COVID, But
sure.
I play it on Steam all the time, and you can even decide. You know how they say that there's a combination. It's the Rusviet faction, and I can't remember what the industry one is, but whatever that is, you can check mark to say that shouldn't happen. it won't allow it.
Nice.
Kind of thing. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Every time I do that, I can destroy with it. It's
sure.
ridiculous.
I didn't know there was that deep, like tournament play. They actually bid points on certain combinations of factions and stuff, and I had no idea it went that deep.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that won't. Like, I won't allow it at my table to be a thing.
Yeah,
that connection, because I played it enough to know that it's not even a strategic thing where if you know how to do it and stuff, it's just so well suited together that it beats any other combination. It's because of where they start, the available things that they have that get used and stuff. It's just too easy to destroy with it. I even when I taught somebody new, I was like, maybe you should be this, since I know it so well, and they destroyed me with it. So I was like, okay, just none of that anymore. So, that's going to happen anytime you have combinations of powers and you don't go through. I actually think they went through a lot of test playing, but, after a while. So, yeah, I'm jealous that you're starting Fenris. You're going to have to tell me how you feel about it without spoiling, of course.
I will, absolutely.
I see you got Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yeah, I want to get it. I want to get it on the table. It's like Indiana Jones, the board game.
Sort of.
Yeah, it looks. You played it?
Yeah.
I've
got it. Yeah, I played it 3 times in the first 3 days I got it.
Oh wow. Okay.
But it, I would never sell it as it's Indiana Jones the board game. It's not like Fortune and Glory. Like you don't feel like you're on a big adventure without filling in the holes yourself. It's a
Sure.
worker placement game, really, and it's got some great mechanics and stuff, and the artwork and the designs work well together. So it's actually easier to when I looked at the rule book, I was like, oh, that's going to be go through, but I went through real quick and stuff, easy to learn, get into it all. But yeah, like I said, I played it like 3 times. I think it's behind my Stormtrooper helmet, actually. But I played it 3 times in 3 days, and I lost the first 2 times.
Oh wow.
So it might have been a little bit of like, I'm going to keep playing this till I win. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. They did some cool stuff with it. They made some really good choices to make the people that like the Euro side of things not feel like it's just random stuff that messes you up, while at the same time giving you plenty of stuff to hook onto and make thematic stuff in your head.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
Like in a lot of games, you go to the spot in your head, you're like, oh man, I had to use an airplane card to get to this spot. So you can imagine the Indiana Jones airplane with the dot behind, or the line behind it. You fill in those things and stuff. So if you do that, yeah, it could feel like Indiana Jones, but it's not. Have you ever played Fortune and Glory?
I've not.
So Fortune and Glory is more that. It's very thematic. There's a lot of like story bits to it and stuff like that. It's very clunky, unfortunately. A lot of minis of Nazis that you go and fight, and you sneak aboard Nazi submarines, and you thwart cults, and you get in car races in the middle of Beijing and stuff like that. It feels like that kind of thing, but it's a clunky. It's an okay game. This is a good game with a good theme on it.
Okay. I'll play it and I'll have a report back next Monday.
See, I got positive.
I like it. I'm not used to it yet, but I like it. It's funny. You brought up 2 things. One we were supposed to kind of talk about today, and the other I want to talk about in a future episode. The future episode one is about the narrative and the narrative in board games. And I feel like you kind of touched upon that, how we fill in the gap between taking that airplane and going to a place and doing a thing, where the game fills it. Like, where's the narrative fit in the game, and games that work and games that didn't work with narrative.
Yeah, let's talk about that next episode. I've got a lot of stuff I've gone through for design. I've started at one end, and I'm now at the other end of that. So got a lot of stuff we could talk about that. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. Next and then the other thing that we were supposed to talk about today, being so close to Groundhog's Day, was the replayable nature of games. And I'm wondering what about Arnok made you want to play it 3 times in 3 days after losing twice?
Right. Well, for me, winning and losing doesn't really change my level of enjoyment of a game, especially since I'm playing against Erin, my girlfriend, and she and I kind of win 50-50 on games. So, I'm used to it. There are some games that she destroys me at, some games I destroy her at, and then most of the games are kind of that's back and forth. It's good because we challenge each other, and that's what keeps us playing. But I went back because, let's see, how can I define that? It's hard because it's not like there was story to it. Like I was saying, there's not real story to it other than the stuff I make in my head. It was more of like I just wanted to try to do it better.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if there's a challenge there, Like you even see the same runes and stuff come up by the next second game. Like there's not so much to it that you can play different. You can play a different side of the board. That's not really that big a deal. Um, the replayability for me was the mechanics, just like playing with the mechanics, trying to get better at this part. Oh, that didn't do so well, so let me try to get better at this part, and finding the balance, because you can basically score like going up the research track, or you can score by getting items and artifacts, or you can score by going into little temples and getting stuff, right? So with those three different ways, it was really just trying to play with, what if I focus more this way? What if I focus more this way? So you got to have more than one path to victory to have be replayable for me. You got to have ways of playing with the choices, you know. I see a lot of designers make what I feel is a mistake in replayability, which is create variants and all these different, now play with these monsters and stuff. I have tons of games that I never even read the variant rules or anything. You know, I'm sure there's some people that love doing that, like taking one game and playing it to pieces and all different variants and stuff. I mean, you write variants and stuff. I play it the one way that the rule book says it's supposed to be played, and I kind of stick to that. And then when I get tired of it, I grab one of these other games, and you know. So for me, it's not more content. It's really the gameplay that makes something replayable.
Interesting.
How do you feel?
I appreciate the variants. I think I'm in the same boat as you, where I'm probably not going to play too many of them because there's so many games. How can you play every game X amount of times and still hit the 3,200 games that are published every year? That it's crazy. Right. But for me, I think replayability comes with, and you touched upon it, like especially with Scythe, like you finish the game and you immediately want to play it again.
Right.
Not that there's new things, not that I want to play a new character, not that I want to play the new monsters. That feeling of, yeah, I could do better, or yeah, like that was, I want that again.
Right.
That hits it for me.
Yeah, it's the challenge of the mechanics, right?
Or mechanisms.
Or mechanisms. I don't know what that. I didn't even know that was a thing till you asked me about it. So there. Okay, I'm going to get sidetracked. I have to ask. Are there people that really have like debates over, do you say mechanism or mechanics?
Yep.
That's really a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Well, do you have a position on it? Do you care?
I think it's mechanisms. I think the mechanisms are what are in the game, and we would be the mechanic of the game.
I see.
Right? Think about cars. The mechanic works on your cars. Your mechanic fixes the mechanisms of the cars.
Yeah. Good argument.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to change how I say it, if I even said it wrong. What I don't even know which way I said it.
Yeah.
What did I say? Which
mechanics?
I said mechanics
twice.
Okay, but your position is that I should say mechanism.
No, you could say whatever you want. My position is it should be mechanism.
It should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure.
Yep.
I don't disagree, but I doubt I won't just say, because I think I go between both of them. I think I say either one.
I'll be listening for it.
Yeah, point it out every time.
Oh, I will.
It won't be annoying at all.
Right hand mechanic, left hand mechanism.
It'll be confusing because to me that was your left hand and that was your right.
Whatever works. I'll put them both up. The game design course that I made, or that I co-designed with Keith, who was playing in the Scythe game, beginning of the school year, he would say mechanic, and I would correct him. And mid-school year, before January hit, he was mechanism, and I was proud every time he said mechanism.
Of all things to care about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Pick your battles, I guess. If that's the battle you want to win,
No, I don't need to win that one.
you don't need. You just want to enjoy fighting it. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things that sticks out no matter how hard I try not to get it to. It's like when I look at a picture of somebody playing Sagrada, the first thing I do is zoom in on their board to see if all the dice are placed correctly. No colors next to each other, no numbers next to each other. And when I see it, it drives me nuts.
Well, now there's some cards that allow you to do stuff like that, right? Oh, you're right. It always says you have to respect the rules of placement.
Correct. No matter what, as of now, there are no rules that let you place 2-color or 2-number orthogonally adjacent. When I see pictures of it, it drives me batty.
Okay, I did have a game where at the end, Aaron pointed out that I made a mistake, and I was like, "Oh, and you have to take it out, right?" Mm-hmm. So that's just part of the game. I just made it, the people that you see, they've made a mistake.
Sure.
How do you know they didn't get caught at the end and had to take it out?
Because they're posting their final score with like the tools and the public objectives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So to benefit their play experience, I'm sure you tell them, right? Oh, this is actually this because of that.
Oh no, I don't. I would go down. I'd so far down that rabbit hole. I would not. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching a podcast or video cast. Do you call this a video cast or podcast?
It's not.
Or is video cast even a word?
It is now.
Did I make that up? Anyway, I was watching people on YouTube's, and they were talking about. That's how much I care about the right word. They were talking about how they were playing a game and people always correct them on the rules. And that they don't care. They don't want to hear that. They're just enjoying themselves. Mm-hmm. I could see if we did this a lot and played games on it, that could get annoying. But I would want to know. Like, wouldn't you want to know if you were playing something wrong?
Sure.
Yeah.
Unless you're house ruling it, right? Like I would tell families when you're playing Sagrada and you're playing with younger children, just take out that orthogonal rule. Like, just have fun with it. Place a die. Recognize your pattern has a red square. Place a red die there. Don't worry about the numbers. Get them into that pattern of playing the game. And then, oh yeah, so last 4 years of your life, you've been playing it wrong. Here's how you really play.
It kind of makes me think of chess because I was taught by my brother to play chess by you're not going after the king. You're just trying to kill all the other pieces. But that was by accident. He didn't know you were supposed to go for a king because he just taught himself how to play. So, for the first 10 years of playing chess of my life, I played it wrong. And so I'm not that great at it now, and that's probably why. But no, teach the kid the full game. And if the kid doesn't get the full game, well, then you back up a little bit and you teach them one at their level. And whenever they're old enough to do the full game, then you teach them the full game. Sure. That's how I would do it. That doesn't mean it's right. But
you also said that you read the rule book and you play the way the rules are supposed to be played. And
yeah, I have one house rule for every game. I don't care what your game says. We are randomly picking the first player. I don't care if it's tallest person last in space. Doesn't matter what that says. We are randomly choosing the first player, and mostly because I play with all the same people. So if it's tallest person, that person always gets the experience of playing first. That's a different experience than playing second or third and fourth. Right. And so, especially some games, it really matters. I want to have that experience sometimes. I want them to have that experience sometimes. It should always be random, and I will always make that the house rule. But that's the only house rule I'll make.
Is that just because you play with the same people? Like, would that be the same if we weren't in lockdown playing with the same people?
Right. Well, I play with the same people usually anyway. The only time I play with different people are when I go to conventions, which is why I love conventions so much. You just get that different feel, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm at a convention, I don't care. I don't argue, no, we have to do it random, because it's a one-time thing and I get to experience it. But because I play with the same game group every single time, there's no way I'm going to let my brother, just because he's the oldest, go first on every single game every time we play,
Right.
or whatever it is,
Right.
person with the least hair. It doesn't even matter if it benefits me or the other person, just random every time.
Sure.
And it's the easiest way to do it. That's my only house rule. Otherwise, I'm against house ruling in general. Just because, and that's just because my privilege of having all this. If I don't like your game, I'm not going to fix it for you. I'm just going to go to the next game. Too many games for me to co-design it for you.
Sure.
I'm just going to go to the next one.
It's good.
But, it is the privilege of having this game collection.
Sure.
A lot of people just have 50 games that they keep tight. That's their tight collection. And with that, I can understand house ruling. You want that one game that you have that you want to play all the time to be just right for you and your group. It's fine.
Right.
The only caveat I'd give, I don't know if you've had this experience. Have you had someone tell you what their house rule is to your game?
So Batman?
Yeah.
No?
Has anybody done it? I'd just like to put this out there publicly. Make all the house rules you want. Please don't tell the designer how you fixed his game or her game. It just doesn't come out right. I know that the people who have contacted me go, I love your game. They always start off like that. I love your game and stuff. I just didn't like this part. So I changed this rule. I know they just want to have a conversation about the mechanics and stuff. But it just hurts to
Or
hear.
mechanisms.
Mechanisms, sure. You call it a win all you want if I correct it. I'm just doing it to make you happy. Mm-hmm. But it feels a little, I try to take it as positively as possible. They're contacting me because they're enjoying the game enough to try to get involved with me, to try to change it a little bit to fit their group and all. It just feels like, man, I worked on this game for 3 years. I've played 1,000 versions of this game to get it to where it is. You've played 1 or 2 games and gone, I'm changing this. It just feels, it just hurts. I know it's not meant that way. And I don't want people not to talk to me about it. I love hearing about people say the game, but I just don't tell the designer what your house rule is.
Yeah, unless there's a story, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that there'd be something like, I don't know what it is, but I could see that there'd be a scenario where, I play with my cousin who is colorblind and we have this trouble. So we do that. No pun intended.
Wow.
But we have this issue and stuff. So we change this rule. So I'd love to hear that, especially because it would make me on future reprints fix issues like that.
Right.
But oftentimes what I really hear, and I really don't hear this often, but when I do hear it, often what it is they've had one experience, and that one experience had a negative. This person got more points than me because they pulled a card that had this. So we just removed all those cards. Well, all those cards are there to balance out another set of cards,
right,
or to balance out the fact that this thing over here exists, but you didn't experience that in this game. So you don't realize that by pulling that thread, you're making other issues down the road.
Right.
And I've tried to explain stuff like that, and they go, yeah, but we didn't like that thing. So, and I'm like, okay, I understand. I can't, it's not a battle I need to win. In the end, I'm just trying to make an experience that someone enjoys, right? So if they need to house rule it, fine, awesome. Share it with other people and stuff. But I don't even care if they want to go on BGG and say, I've made this house rule, you try it and stuff. Awesome. Enjoy the game. Tell other people about it. It's just when they contact me directly, it feels like a jab. It doesn't, I know it's not meant to be, because who would do that knowing that, right? But it just feels like, hey, the thing you worked on for years? Here's how I fixed it in a couple of days.
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't know. I was way more negative about that experience the first time it happened. Now I'm trying my best to look at it more positive. they're contacting me because they care about the game so much that they want to share their experience, right?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to tell myself. And I'm getting better at that. But it wasn't a great experience the first time it happened.
Yeah, I could see it stinging. But so with Batman, like Richard and I thought we had a really good game out of the gate. And it wasn't until we heard from a certain amount of people that were like, yeah, your masterminds, though, they're flat. Like, you should do something with them. And then playing it again or looking at it again, we were like, well, yeah, they are kind of like, they're just beefed up henchmen with extra life. Like, I get it. And then that's where the masterminds came out, where they started like moving around the different battlefields and up on the rooftop. And so if not for that, yeah, your game's good, but that might not have happened.
Well, that's different though. That's a criticism. I love criticisms because that makes the next game better. I got tons of criticism on my first game, but I don't even want to say, don't get my first game. It was okay. Don't buy it.
Wow.
I was the publisher, so I'm not hurting anybody by saying that but me. I don't think you can buy it anyway. But it was okay. It was a good first game, first try and stuff. I would never design it the way it is now. But after all that criticism, it really helped me focus to make my next one, which I enjoyed. So I don't mind criticism that, like, hey, we had issues with this and stuff like that. Totally want to hear that. It's just the, hey, here's how I fixed your game thing that bothered me the first time. And again, I'm not even saying don't share that with me. I'm just being honest about how my first experience with that was. So,
everyone listening right now is flooding your mailbox with stuff that they did to your games.
I hope so. That'd be great. I would laugh.
If they're not, they should be.
Yeah, I would laugh so hard if that happened. Yeah, I'm just sharing your initial reaction, or at least my initial reaction. I've heard other designers have different reaction to it. Some of them love them. Some of them really hate it. I've heard some really negative. And it also depends on how you approach it. You know, not all of us, including myself, am a great communicator sometimes.
Right.
Whenever you're just talking to somebody and you don't think about what you're saying or how you're saying it, sometimes it can come off bad. So maybe that first time for me was just what I wasn't expecting it and it hit me weird. I don't know. Trying to be positive. That's what we should call this one. But failing. Well. But failing.
Yeah. Failing at being positive.
But anyway, replayability. Back to all the things that you asked about. Yeah, I think we're both agreeing. It's got to come down to mechanics you can play with for longer than just one game. Right.
Right. Like the exit games obviously are not replayable.
Well, right. But I mean, like, once you're done, if you feel like, okay, I got everything I need to know about that game. Like I just played, or not just played, but I played the game Bees twice in one day because it takes like 15 minutes to play, right? And after those 2 plays, you got it?
That one? Bees? Yeah.
Beez.
Oh, no.
By Next Move?
That's Van Ryder's Bees.
Oh,
you're talking about the one by Plan B.
Yeah, the Next Move. Yeah. Next Move games. Yeah, I played it. It was fun. After 2 plays, I'll probably play it once or twice again or something. But the mechanics just aren't there to make it replayable. Like Azul or Sagrada. What?
Or mechanisms.
Azul, or I'm going to just start ignoring you.
Oh, I'm going to do it every time. It's going to be great.
Azul, Sagrada, those mechanisms keep you coming back. Something to play with, something new to try, you know.
Right.
So I don't know what the special sauce is for it. I should learn since we're trying to make games, right? But,
well, it's different for everybody, right? I don't know if there's one special sauce. Not everyone likes the Big Mac. Not everybody likes, what's the Burger King one?
Whopper?
Whopper, that's what it is. Right? So it's not about, it's about personal feelings about a game. What you like worker placement, then maybe the worker placement mechanism in that game is really what's going to get you. Or you like economy games, or you like card drafting. Like maybe the replayability of a game that you've played is different than my experience with the same game because you like something different in it. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I know, like, Aaron is very Euro game minded. So if we get in a game like Arnak, if we get in a game like that, she does not do the thing that I was talking about, where you think about, oh, now I'm going to these ruins and I've come across this monster. This monster's, oh, that looks scary. Oh, it's cool that this monster is a serpent and I'm going into the serpent ruins, like it just happened to fit that way. She don't see any of that. She sees the icons and she's doing the mechanism. It's probably why she won both times, the first 2 times. But she's looking at the icons, working with the mechanisms in her head and stuff, and that's it. And me, I'm like building this little story in my head. And so replayable for me was not just the mechanisms and stuff, because I enjoyed that as well. So, you know, she probably looks at it just mechanisms only. And I'm sure everybody has their own. Like you said, it's subjective.
Well, now I want to get to our next or a future episode because I want to know your take on what. Well, if you've ever played it, Tales of Arabian Nights.
Oh yeah, got it right here.
Yeah, I have it too. But I wonder. We'll save that one because that one I think that'll fit well with the narrative part of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also tie into this episode about the replayability of that game because
that is the old way to put narrative into games. Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
So we'll leave it at that, and we'll get into it next episode.
It'll have to be because that's gonna be a good one.
That fully positive episode, right?
No.
Nope. All right. Well, we've gone over quite a bit.
Yeah, we have. That was a good one.
You get me angry at stuff, I guess. I wasn't angry, but you get me negative at stuff. I guess I could go on for a while. I will try not to be that negative about everything. I don't want to be that negative about everything. We just hit all the good stuff.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to learn your perspective on a big battle. Like, what's better, DC or Marvel?
Well, I mean, the thing that set me off was the whole Flash thing. I actually wrote a whole article about it. I won't go back into it, but I actually wrote a whole article of what drove me insane about it, but then had nowhere to put it. So it started going nuts once we hit that nerve.
Well, you bring up a good point. It does make sense. Like at that point, it's just.
I mean, I even brought up Heroes. A lot of stories, if they don't write it from beginning to end, they will write themselves into issues that, you know, especially with crazy powers. And Marvel did have an easy time with it, with people who are basically just ninjas, or, you know, the Iron Fist has like the most power, really, right? So maybe Luke Cage, but
of the group, yeah.
I mean, they don't have any world-breaking powers, so easier to write around that.
Sure.
But
so then, does it come down to weakness? Do they have better weaknesses?
Oh, you mean the heroes themselves?
Yeah.
I mean, Superman has kryptonite, right? That's the Kleenex of weaknesses for superheroes. that's the number one thing everybody thinks of when you say weakness of superheroes. Batman has the fact that he's a normal dude in a cool suit.
With a lot of money.
With a lot of money. Well, that's not a weakness, the money. Yeah, I mean, if you start examining weaknesses and stuff, I think Marvel wins on that because their weaknesses are often their characters' personal issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
Superman's is kryptonite because he can't have personal issues, because if he has personal issues, we're all dead. The minute he goes evil, That's another issue I have with it. The Red Kryptonite turning him evil. Like the first thing I do as evil Superman is just fly straight through the earth, everyone dead.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
Oh, and one more thing about Superman. It's all negative. More thing about Superman. If he's ever fighting someone who can't fly, like Doomsday, he wins instantly. Throw him into the sun. Once you're airborne, doesn't matter what you can do. That's it. You're a projectile. If you can't fly, you can't change it. If he had just grabbed, there was plenty of times he grabbed Doomsday and threw him in the comics. Throw him up into space. I've seen him do it 1,000 times with other things that are less heavy than him. Just throw him towards the sun. That's it. Easy. 2-page comic is what the Death of Superman should have been.
Yeah.
Should have been Doomsday wakes up, Superman throws him in the sun, and he goes off on a date with Lois Lane. That's what that should have been. The end.
But then they wouldn't have made millions and millions of dollars off 17 different comic books.
Yeah, so they don't even write around it. They don't even say like, Doomsday could fly in space or something. They don't do anything. He simply doesn't throw him into the sun. And he kills him in the end, so he didn't have a problem with that. I mean, he tries. I mean, they both kill each other, but spoilers.
Well, no,
Not
Doomsday
really.
didn't die.
Yeah, in the comic, they both hit each other at the same time and kill each other with a punch.
Yeah, but that's not true because Doomsday came back.
They all come back.
He wasn't dead.
Yeah, they all come back, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think General Zod's coming back.
I wouldn't be surprised if they figure out a way to do it.
Oh, I hope not. That would ruin that movie.
That's the only thing that movie had going for it, was that whole spoiler for the Superman movie, Man of Steel, was that whole I have to kill him so he doesn't, there's no choice here. Putting Superman in that position is the only thing that makes me like that movie.
Oh, that movie is great.
And I love the casting. Henry Cavill's an excellent Superman. I love the actor. The actor's a great human being. I love his ability as an actor. I love the way he looks. I just didn't like the writing. I didn't like what they wrote to try to make it look darker. Superman's not about being dark. I didn't like that. And I didn't like the dumb way his dad died. Why did they change it from a heart attack? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like, no, wait, don't run up here. Like, why does dad go get the dog in the first place? Why didn't he go get the dog?
Because he wasn't revealed at that point.
So neither was his dad. Like, if he would have gotten to the part where, I should be dead at this point, fine, go away, go hide somewhere. Instead, you're going to let your dad die? It's insane.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know why they changed it. I don't know, because originally it was heart attack in the movie, the original movies, right? And that was like one of the best scenes from that was whenever the original 77 movie was whenever, or was it 78? Anyway, whenever his dad dies, he was like, there was nothing good I could do with all my powers.
Right.
I can't stop that from happening. That is a much deeper thing than him going, well, I guess I couldn't reveal who I was, so I just let my dad die. I mean, I got a secret to keep. I don't want to have to change my name and relocate. I guess my dad's got to die.
Yeah, so, I guess. Yeah.
At that point, he had like 20 farmers that would have been like, oh, that guy survived the tornado. Like, that would have been the worst of it. You hear stuff like that every now and then. And just his dad going like, no, don't come save me.
Wow. That did not bother me at all.
Yeah, I mean that the whole destroying, killing millions of people because of the fight in the city. It was cool to see the fight, but every building they went through, I was like, oh man, there's another, you know, few hundred or thousands of people dying. I mean,
All the buildings were empty. Everyone evacuated.
no, no way, no way. You know how long it takes to evacuate those buildings? And
I,
wait, people died in Batman versus Superman at the beginning, showing that people died. So people definitely died.
that is true.
Just that amount of, it was cool to see a fight cause that much destruction, but to have Superman be part of that much destruction just felt like, ugh. I want my like American hero. He doesn't have to be American. I don't care if he's worldwide hero, but I want the hero everyone looks up to, Superman.
Yeah.
This was some alien that came to our planet and had a fight and destroyed the city. That's all he was to anybody.
Oh, you break it down to such a small thing.
I mean, the poster had him with handcuffs.
Yeah.
So the focus was, we don't like this guy. This guy's an alien that showed up and brought his alien like enemies with him, and they fought and destroyed our city. Get off our world. Why would anybody want this guy here? He didn't even have a chance to like win everybody's heart by saving kids in a park and all this stuff, you know? Just instant, like, here's a guy who's invulnerable and he's causing trouble bringing aliens to this world. I want those moments where everybody's like, finally, there's someone here to save us, to help us, that is good and kind-hearted. Like, there was none of that in there. So we can end on me trashing one more thing you love.
I do enjoy the other side of things, though, right? Because my perspective is, I love the movie. I think the movie was brilliant, especially the moment where he has to kill Zod. Like, that's
that moment made me go, okay, this isn't all lost. I really love that moment.
right.
That was a good thing to put in there. It's great.
But for a comic movie, though, I mean, if you look at the comics, right, his fight with Doomsday was the same thing.
Yeah, even at the beginning of that fight, he was like, oh, I don't want to kill this thing or whatever it was and stuff, right?
Right.
And at the end, he was like, I have to try to kill this thing, and you know. But yeah, I mean, that's part of the thing with Superman, is that at least they kept that, was that he had this line he didn't want to cross. He didn't want to be this kind of person, you know, and they made him cross that line. That was the only interesting part of that movie for me. So I'm glad it had that.
Interesting.
Wasn't as good as 78 Superman.
Totally different movie.
No, not really. Kind of beginning, you know, I mean, same kind of story.
Yeah.
At least the beginning, same story. It is an origin story, right?
It is, but I mean, you can't equate the feeling you get from watching Man of Steel and the feeling you get from watching, and I love Christopher Reeve almost more than Cable. But
See,
it's a totally different movie.
I mean, yes, it is, and that's the problem. Is that Man of Steel shouldn't have been a totally different movie, because that's what they messed up on. With the reason why Zod works well for Superman 2 is because by the time Zod shows up and they have this big fight in the city in Superman 2, or the, you know, I think it was like 81 when that came out, is everyone loves Superman. He had a whole, you know, I don't know how long he was there, maybe a year or so or whatever, but he'd done all this stuff. He'd saved lives. He's, you know, showed up with the president and, you know, I'm going to help do this. And people loved Superman. So by the time he got to fight Zod in a city, and go, oh, I can't fight here, I might hurt people, and left, then, which the other one should have done, uh, then, everybody was behind him. There's even a point in that movie where like they think they killed Superman, and they all like, let's get these guys. I mean, they're dumb for doing it, but just seeing people love him for being a good person and good hero, that was totally out of the movie. It was just some alien fight.
So if Man of Steel was really Man of Steel 2, you'd be okay with the movie. Like Man of Steel set up their love for him, and then Man of Steel 2,
I'd be a lot better off. Yeah, because all it was an alien fight. Nobody even knew who he was. He just showed up, and the military came up and said, "Can we put you in handcuffs?" He was like, "Sure." And he goes with them. It was stupid to put him in handcuffs, but he goes with them or whatever. And then, that's the only interaction he had with human beings as Superman. Is like, hey, I'm like a powerful alien, and I'm not here to hurt you. And then he hurts a bunch of people with a fight, basically. They just didn't set it up. There was like, hey, I'm here as a kid, and then they skipped the origin and went to the fight. The origin of Superman is how he becomes a beloved person, like a hero. You watch the animated stuff, people respond to him, kids, adults, everyone loves Superman. So that's what I missed out on that movie, was the hero. He was just a super alien.
Super alien.
I mean, I'm sure he was a good guy, but no one knew it.
At that point, yeah, I see. I see your point.
You didn't even get a lot of good Clark Kent stuff.
No.
I mean, that's one thing I really missed from the original movies was there was some great Clark Kent scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like half the movie was Clark Kent, which it should be.
Yeah. Do you think? So I guess we did another injustice by not mentioning Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We also didn't mention Smallville, which is probably one of my all-time favorite shows.
Okay, yeah. I am behind on that. I love Smallville. I have all 10 seasons.
So do I.
Although I didn't like the last few seasons without Lex, but I still watched them, still have them,
Right.
Just because it felt more like Lex's story than Superman's story in a way,
Yeah, certain times it did.
Yeah, but there's, major spoiler of that series, season 7, I think it is, where Lex Luthor becomes Lex Luthor, by pushing the old Luthor, basically. That scene was just amazing. It was one of the best scenes in superhero television.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of good stuff in that. So, yeah, I totally agree. That does tip the scale a little bit because I love Smallville.
Yeah, that show, from a Superman fan's perspective, the cleverness in the writing of that show, like when he gets his vision and he's got the glasses, with his father, and I forgot Tom Wopat's, he was like the mayor or the governor or something. Like you had the reuniting of Bo Duke and Luke Duke.
Oh, right.
Split over the hood of the, like all the writing in that series just shined.
Yeah. Yeah. And they also didn't write themselves into a hole like I talked about. Like you already knew Superman's powers, but they didn't even start off with all of his powers, right? And so it was fun to introduce the I-beam and that it was an issue, right? He didn't just go, I have this now and all that stuff. So it took a while for him to be able to use it, like seasons, really. I'd like the patience that they had with writing that stuff into it. I love that you got the payoff of the people learning secrets, stuff like that,
Right.
There's a lot of, this is another thing I can poke at the DC things that are now. I won't dwell on it, but they do a lot of, there's this thing where someone has a secret, major secret, and they start off the whole series with it, and their closest sister, brother, or whatever doesn't know. and they almost get the note, and they almost don't. It almost will they, won't they tell the secret and stuff. Then they finally find out, and the second they find out, cut the commercial, and then when they come back, it's a different scene that's like hours or day later, and the person is talking to someone else and going, "Oh, they found out? Well, what happened?" "Well, she just didn't want to talk about it." "What are you doing? I've been waiting entire seasons for that moment.
Right.
I want to see them have that conversation. I want you to sit down and tell them the whole origin and have them go, oh, and I want to see that reaction. You totally got rid of this whole point. And I'm supposed to believe that they didn't sit down and go, what is going on? Why can you fly? Why do you have all these powers?" Like they skip that every single time. You never get that payoff.
I
With
don't think it's ever
Smallville,
gone well, though. When we do get that payoff, I don't think it's ever, I don't trust you anymore. How could you lie to me? How could you not tell me? Like, even that end of the spectrum would piss me off as much as what you're saying.
right? I also don't like that. Like if I had a friend who was like a best friend for 10 years, and I find out that they can fly, and they never told me, I'd be like, why didn't you tell me? And they could say, "I was afraid that if I told too many people, they'd get, my
Mhm.
enemies would come after me." Like, okay, well, I appreciate you not putting me in danger. You could have told me, I wouldn't have felt bad about it, and that would have been it.
And
I'd been like, cool, that's amazing. You can fly. I'd love to see you fly. That's is. I never understood the people to be like, how dare you not tell me that you're an alien? Of course, you keep that secret.
yeah, how do you not? Yeah.
And how do you open with that? At what point were they supposed to tell you? The first week they met you? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anyway.
No, they
I
don't
didn't
tell
want
you
to get
until
into the whole
5
negative
seasons
thing.
later.
What?
They don't tell you until 5 seasons later.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I didn't want to get a whole negative thing on the other ones. I just kind of wanted to point that out because Smallville didn't do that.
Right.
Smallville had the times where, Chloe saw him catch a car and all that, or was that? No, that was I almost said Leia.
Not Leia.
Lois. That was Lois, right? She's the one. No, Chloe's the one
Lana?
that saw him catch a car. Lois found out by. I don't remember how she found out. Oh, she was putting something up, and he ran over and caught her or something as she was falling in a storage room. Or
Okay.
actually, she found out two different ways. They erased her memory in some way.
Right.
A lot of silliness in that, but it was great silliness. So.
I think what
Anyway.
you're talking about is Chloe.
Yeah. So I mean, but you got the payoff.
Mhm.
You got to see them and get the experience of them finding out the secret. Him and his friend, I can't ever remember his name, that played basketball all the time. He was upset that he didn't tell him and all, but they had the argument in front of you at least.
Right. That's true.
So yeah, there was some great stuff with Smallville.
Oh, awesome.
I kind of want to rewatch it.
Yeah, and talking about it and thinking about all those different. Yeah, I want. There's so much to watch. It's not even funny.
Now I got the beginning song stuck in my head. Somebody save me.
Somebody save me. Yeah. Oh, every morning, every Sunday, we would watch 8-9 episodes of it straight through. Because I picked up on it late. I picked up after the DVDs had already been out, but we binged it up to be current.
Gotcha.
But I think that's what I gravitated towards with The Flash, was that type of, and I'm not saying the writing was the same, but that same kind of feeling, right? You had that, I don't know, maybe I was hoping for it.
I mean, if you're getting similar stuff from that, then awesome. I'm jealous of that because I'm not, or wasn't. But like I said, I did enjoy the characters and their banter and some of that kind of writing and stuff. So there is good stuff to it. It's just at some point, the things that were annoying me piled up enough to where I stopped watching. And again, if you watch any series to 4th or 5th season, you liked it somewhat, right? I'm not saying it's just total trash, obviously.
Right. So. Yeah, it definitely wasn't Smallville for me, but the characters like with Iris and Barry and what was the father's name in Flash?
The father?
Yeah, Iris's dad.
Oh, Joe,
Yes, Joe. Um,
which I think he plays Joe in everything and a cop and everything. Like he was in Law and Order, and I think his name was Joe, and he was a cop.
oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he was a cop in several other things too. Some people just get casted in that, you know.
Yeah, typecast.
Yeah.
But I liked I liked it. I liked the characters. I guess I equated it to it, and I think I wanted it to be Smallville because of that feeling of watching that show.
I still like the characters.
Yeah.
But they also have that lost issue where nobody tells anybody anything.
Right.
Like something bad happens, and instead of walking into the room full of geniuses and saying, "Hey, this bad thing happened. Can we work it out?" You have to wait like half a season for someone to find it out in a bad way, and then they feel guilty about it and they run off, and they have a whole episode just trying to find them. And then, why? Just tell them they're your friends.
It's true.
Like there's that whole one where Cisco was like, "Oh no, I have abilities. All these people with abilities are gonna hate me for it."
Yeah.
What? No, nobody's gonna hate you for it.
No.
You got 2 other people in there with abilities. Maybe 3 at that point. I can't remember, but it was just some ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was like manufactured drama that I didn't like either.
Sure.
But I did like the interaction. I mean, I didn't even mind that they kept bringing Harry back in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny. It was fun to see him play different characters, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I need to catch up on that because I want to see what's going on. I remember where I left off, but I haven't caught up.
Oh, I remember where I left off. I already covered that.
Well, we know you're not going back to it.
No, I'm not going back.
No, not yet. Anyway.
Too much. Too many other things. I actually like Supergirl more than anything.
Supergirl's great.
Yeah, it was for a while, but they kind of started running into the same things. Some of the same manufactured dramas and stuff that I just couldn't believe.
Yeah.
But not as bad as the other ones. I just kind of fell away because they were doing the whole crisis thing where they were connecting everything. Mm-hmm. And if I don't feel like they did those comics too, if I don't feel up to date with the other ones, then I stopped to try to catch up with the other ones. But then I just couldn't bring myself to watch the other ones, so then I was stopped here, and it kind of worked opposite for me. It made me stop watching.
Oh, really?
Watching, yeah, because I was already fed up with Flash and Arrow. So when they were like, now you have to watch these other ones, like I'm going to jump into a version of Arrow that I haven't watched a season and a half of and not know what's going on just to watch this one episode or something. So, yeah, I just kind of left at that point. But I did like the show.
Yeah, they were good. I didn't feel I was missing anything not being caught up with Arrow at the time I watched the crossovers, or not being caught up with Legends of Tomorrow when I watched the crossovers. I feel like the crossovers told a good story and continued this team up story from like my experience with the Flash or my experience with the Arrow. But it's interesting that you felt like you had to wait to catch up to watch.
Yeah, I'm just a completionist that way. And you know how much I hate spoilers, so you know, I didn't want anything to be spoiled in case I did decide to wait. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I'm weird that way.
Yeah. It works.
It doesn't. That's why I didn't watch it.
True.
But yeah, I mean, I hate to be all negative and stuff because I did enjoy those. I watched a lot of the seasons and stuff. But when you start comparing them to the Netflix stuff, I gotta say Marvel wins.
Yeah, that's like trying to watch like Infinity War and Batman versus Superman. Like they're just not.
It's not even close.
Right.
Or I guess it'd be more like Justice League, right?
Sure.
Like if you compare Justice League with the first Avengers.
They're not even in. You can't. No way. No. That's like
I think,
and Major League Baseball. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is that Marvel put in their dues, giving each hero their own stuff to work with, right? Their own movies, and you don't have to worry about origins and all that stuff. And then when it just didn't feel like they earned it. They got the Justice League by that time, you know?
Yeah, they started too far down the
Yeah, and plus their individual ones weren't as good as Marvel either.
right,
So
right.
at
Yeah,
least in my opinion.
the Marvel. I mean, thinking about what, and I think we can agree that John Favreau is a genius because
He's a
what
great
he put it.
storyteller. Yeah.
Oh God, I mean, think not even the Mandalorian, which is brilliant, but Iron Man, which kind of started everything, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. But look at Elf. Like to totally flip the
Yeah.
script on this
Yeah.
whole thing. Look at how great
That was
Elf was.
great. That was one of his first too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back to like Swingers or Made Men or whatever.
Yeah.
He's been in a few good things, but what he's been doing is just to think about what it's kind of like, and I don't think this was done on purpose, but if you remember Predator 2,
Yeah.
and remember when they were on the ship and the Predator ship, and you saw the alien head as like one of its trophies,
Yeah.
and then fast forward to like Alien versus Predator, it's like that kind of genius back in 2008 where things have been planted on purpose.
That was actually planted because of the comics. Valiant Comics had Predator and Alien, and they had mixed them. So when they got to the second movie, at least this is what I believe, when they got to the second movie, they put that hint in there too. So, yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that had to do with Valiant.
Yeah, well, I believe they had both of them at the same time and mixed them. Could be wrong. Maybe that came later, but I thought it was before that. It could be wrong. I have
Smart.
one.
Nonetheless, super smart.
Yeah. Anytime you can mix stuff like that to start creating, basically, it all comes down to ingredients, right?
Mhm.
Like when they got the Justice League, they just had poor ingredients to make their big souffle or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Whereas
Yeah, yeah.
Avengers just had amazing stuff to work with. So
I think
plus Joss Whedon did a good job. I mean,
he did.
whatever has happened since or done that, I mean, you can't argue that Avengers wasn't well done. So
That first moment where they were all on screen together was just, and they tried to replicate it in all the other movies, and they've been equally as good. But man,
are you talking about the one where it pans all the way around
Yep.
and Hulk roars and all that stuff? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, the first time I saw that movie, I was in a movie with RPX sound.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like the THX, but the next level kind of thing, you know. And it was the first movie they showed in it. So they had the volume super up before anybody could complain about how loud it was.
Mm-hmm.
And when he did that roar, I felt my insides vibrate. That's how loud it was. I saw a lot of people go like, you know, it's like, I'm so appreciative that I was doing that because I wanted that roar to be that loud.
So good.
It felt like I was in front of him.
Yeah.
That was an amazing thing. I mean, one of and that happened just before he punched the giant thing that looked like that was the end, right? I mean, there's no that big snake thing that was flying around. When they saw that come through the tunnel and they couldn't do anything about it, and they were like, "Oh my god!" And then he's just like, "Here comes one punch," and he destroys it.
Yeah,
that's when you're like, oh, "There's no moment like that in Justice League."
Well, the lead up to that too, right? Like Cap's trying to add, like when Banner comes in on the little scooter.
Yeah.
And then Cap was like, "Look, you know, we need you," and he's like, I'm always angry," and then he just boom.
Yeah, the whole part about teasing him, like, oh, why aren't you turning? You know, what's your secret and stuff like that. And that was this is beautifully done. Yeah.
Oh, it's so great.
There were so many moments in that made you laugh and made you go, oh, it's a scene I didn't even know I wanted to see.
Yep.
Kind of thing, you know.
It's like with Civil War, right? And the fight between Cap and Iron Man, like you're waiting for that moment to take place on screen. You got the shield going back between Bucky and
that fight, I've gone back several times just to watch all the moves and stuff.
Yeah.
The choreography of that is brilliant because it doesn't look perfectly balanced. It looks sloppy sometimes, which is what you want in a fight, right?
Yep.
A great. Uh,
The end of
Moral
that
disposition.
fight where Cap has the shield.
Oh
and he-
yeah, and puts it into the chest finally.
Like, no, you think he's gonna smash Tony's face.
Oh right.
Like, that's
You
it.
can
At
see
that
it.
moment, I stopped breathing. You're like, oh, like that's gonna happen. Oh,
Yeah.
there's no comparison between, like, none of those moments happened in Justice League.
Yeah, and if they had done, that's the thing is like when Justice League was going to be made, I was like, okay, like
Mhm.
the problem, like I said, was their ingredients weren't ready.
Yeah.
They didn't make the movies that made people want to see this come together.
Right.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
think that's
Wonder
the reason.
Woman for me is the only one that had the good ingredient as far as the other one. And really, the only other one they had was Superman, because they didn't have a Ben Affleck Batman movie. I guess Superman versus Batman, right? Oh no, did you freeze up? I don't even know if we're still alive then. If that's the case. Well, we have gone over. If you've frozen up, we should stop anyway. Let me see if I can change this. Let's see. I don't think I have the ability to turn off this episode. It's an episode that goes on forever. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching.